Hello and welcome. This is Wendy with Love and Stampin'. I am so excited that you're here with me today. We are going to make a floating pop-up gatefold card. So to start, you're going to need a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 cardstock, and on the 8.5 inch side, you're going to score at 2 1/8 on each end of the cardstock. So on that landscape side. Now, as we get into this, I want you to know you don't have to worry about writing these measurements down. I have created a free project sheet for you. In the description below the video, you will find a link under measurements and supplies. You're going to want to click that link. It's going to take you directly to my blog, and that is where you'll be able to see all the photos of the cards I've made, because I actually have two cards, and I didn't show one in the video, so you'll want to hop over there and see the second one. Okay, here really quick, 1 inch by 5 1/4 is this white cardstock, and we are going to score it at 1 inch, 2 inches, and 4 1/4 inch. And we're doing that for 2 pieces, okay? Now, again, that free project sheet can be found in the description below the video. You click it, it goes to my blog. You'll find a link there that says click here for the project sheet. You'll find all the photos, and you'll also find the supply list for this project. We're using brand new Stampin' UP product today. I just got it this week, so I'm very excited to be using it. And we are gonna just make a really adorable card. Of course, we are gonna have Saturday story time after we get past the initial part of this here, but I wanna show you these things. So on the little 1 inch end tab of this, you're gonna wanna glue this piece into the outside flap on each side. So I'm just lining it up nice and flat, folding the flap over, and now it's glued. Then you're gonna fold at that second score line and put adhesive only on this little 1 inch end here. Keep it folded flat, fold that flap back over, and bam, you've got your little pop-up element. So we're gonna do the exact same thing for the top, and that is your basic pop-up, floating pop-up card design, okay? And then we're gonna do some coloring. Oh, I ran out of adhesive here, and I went ahead and left this part in the video to show you how easy it is to replace the adhesive in the Stampin' Seal Plus. I prefer using Stampin' Seal Plus over Stampin' Seal. I like the way it works better. So all you do is pop in the new cartridge just like this, pop the top back on, and you're good to go. You've got your adhesive ready. So we're going to repeat the exact same function for the top part of the card. My suggestion is to make sure you're adhering your inside pop-up pieces here at least 1/4 inch from the top. So make sure you're putting them about 1/4 inch from the top or bottom of the card so that there's a space there. You don't want them right up at the very edge. You could even bring them in a little bit more if you needed to or wanted to. And then we have both of our pop-up elements, and everything that's left to do for this card is simple decorations. So as we start to decorate, I'm going to share a few tips with you on how I colored and the things that I did. I used the Cheerful Basket bundle from Stampin' UP. This is brand new, and it was at the very top of my list to get. I absolutely love it. So you can either color that basket and die cut it out, or you can die cut out several pieces in colored cardstock and assemble them together. That's an option as well. But you know me, I love coloring. So I used my Stamparatus to arrange my images that I wanted to color, and then I just grabbed a piece of basic white thick cardstock for my coloring, and I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink to stamp because I'm going to use alcohol based markers. So when you're using Stampin' Blends, you always want to use a alcohol safe ink with them. So here I'm just going to put this in my Stamparatus, and I'm going to go ahead and ink these up and stamp them. Now what I will tell you is the reason I use the Stamparatus for this is I want to make sure my images have really clean, crisp lines, and I can do that by stamping multiple times if needed. The other reason I like to use the Stamparatus is because I can stamp multiple images all at one time. It's just a time saver so that you don't have to stamp and stamp with a bunch of different blocks, because I know I'm going to need to color all of these. So for the basket, because I know people are going to ask, I used the Natural Tones markers and I wrote it down. I used SU 200 for my darkest, SU 400 for the medium tone, and SU 500 for the lightest tone. For the kitty, I used gray granite and dark smoky slate. And for the apples, I used Sweet Sorbet and Parakeet Party for the leaves. So if you have any other questions about that, you can drop them in the comments below. Really quick, I'm going to go over some of how I'm doing my coloring. When I started out, I wanted to make sure to put the darkest areas on this kitty's stripes. And I'm coloring this kitty like my kitty Walt. I've got one of those little gray and I don't know if it's called a tabby, the gray and white and kind of like dark black almost. Anyways, I don't know much about cats. What I do know is my kitty is gray and he has stripes. So I'm coloring him to match Walt. And I realized after I laid my dark, this was my dark that I was going over all the stripes with, and then I laid down my light and I realized the stripes weren't dark enough. So I went in with my dark smoky slate and I added some more. Now Walt has some white on his tummy, so I left some white there and I left some white on a couple of the paws. And I'm going back in now with that dark smoky slate to darken up those little lines. Okay, and we'll talk about the basket when we get to that. So that is how I colored Walt. Now I want to segue into some story time here, and this is where I always give people the warning that if story time is not for you, that is okay. You can either mute me and watch the finished product and maybe listen to some music or something, or you're welcome to watch another YouTuber. This is just part of what I do on Saturdays. We have Saturday story time. So we're going to get into it. Here I'm laying down that SU 200, and then I am making decisions on which color I'm going to use next, and that's the SU 400. Now these are natural skin tone markers, but they can obviously be used for a lot of things. I think they made this basket come out beautiful, so I'm really happy with the results. I started with my darkest and I'm going to my lightest, and I think I go back over it with my dark again. Yep, I do. I'm pretty sure I do, but if I don't show it here, I do in real life. So you're gonna want to add dark anywhere that you want an image to recess, and if you want something to pull to the front, it should be lighter. So in between the slats of wood, I'm making it really dark, and underneath those wraparound slats, I'm making it really dark, and then in the centers of the slats, I'm making it lighter. This just helps give dimension to your finished product. All right, let's get into some story time. So story time is consistent of ramblings this week because I've got a lot of different things to tell you, and we have about 10 minutes left for me to tell them all to you. So first, there's a reason I'm only coloring Walt in this video, and I haven't really shared this yet, but Henry, we had twin brother cats that we've had for quite some time. We got them for the purposes of keeping mice and snakes and things like that at bay, which we're going to get to snakes in just a minute. And Walt is still with us. Henry has not come home in over a month. So we don't know what happened to him, but we live in a rural area, so there's a solid chance that he's gotten eaten by a predator, possibly a coyote or something like that, or maybe hit by a car. We don't know. He's never come home. So this is Sweet Sorbet that I'm coloring with. I am actually pretty sad about this, even though I'm not a cat person. I really enjoy both of these cats. They kind of have made me more of a cat person. And if you're not a cat person, you understand how significant that is. Here I'm going in with dark real red to darken up my shadow areas for these apples. So anyway, we have not seen Henry in quite some time, and Walt is still with us. And Henry was our hunter. Henry, which is probably why he's gone. Um, it's been a month now. I have heard people say that sometimes cats go missing for like 2 or 3 months and then they just appear back one day. That would be wonderful if that happened. Odds are that's not going to happen. But if it does, that would be great. We do miss him, and it's hard not knowing what happens to them, you know. That part's hard to just not know. My only assumption can be that a predator got him at this point. I've not seen him anywhere as far as getting hit by a car or anything like that. He was a very elusive cat, so he's not a cat that somebody would have taken into their home because they wouldn't have been able to get their hands on him. He was the least friendly of the two, and he really didn't like for you to pet him. He was gone a lot, like he would go hunting a lot. Walt, however, let's talk about Walt. Walt knows how good he has it, and he really doesn't bother doing much. We have seen him hunting in the evening, but that segues us into how Walt doesn't do much of anything. So the other day, my daughter comes and gets me. I'm sitting in my office working, and my daughter comes and gets me and says, I think that there's a rattlesnake on the back porch. And I'm like, well, fantastic. So my husband's not home, it's just me. And I know that I have one option, which is to kill the rattlesnake. So before I have a single comment telling me that I should have it relocated, it is perfectly legal in the state of California to kill rattlesnakes, with the exception of the red diamond rattlesnake, which does not live where I live. It's a coastal rattlesnake, and it is an endangered species. That being said, if I came across one and I was threatened by it, I would kill it. So I grew up and live in a very rural area, and when you come across a rattlesnake, you kill it. Why? Where I live, there's a lot of livestock. There are children. Obviously, my child is 13 and understands how to avoid a snake. However, I've got 4 dogs. I have one remaining cat. I have chickens. I have baby chickens right now. I have baby chicks. And rattlesnakes are bad news for all of those things. So I go out onto the back porch. I see it there. I take a really good look at it because baby rattlesnakes are a little bit hard for you to identify against a gopher snake. Now, somebody who is very well versed in snakes and sees them all the time obviously would have no problem telling the difference. However, if you don't see them very often, you do have to kind of pay close attention. So in this case, I knew when I saw it that it was a rattlesnake. They have a diamond-shaped head versus a slender, narrow head. And their markings are a little bit more distinct. And I could tell that it was starting to grow its first button on its tail. So I grabbed the shovel and I chopped its head off. You are welcome. Hopefully you're not eating right now. So this was the very first time I've ever killed a rattlesnake myself. I've seen many of them killed. I have screamed for my husband or my grandpa when I was younger, and asked for their help, damsel in distress. But this time I had to do the deed. It was literally on our concrete back patio area that is near our house. And let me tell you that I had a dog laying on a dog bed literally a foot from it. Didn't even see it. I don't know where. Walt was sleeping somewhere. So here I've got all these animals and nobody is interested in protecting us. So yes, we took care of that. That was part of our week. That was excitement. And then the other thing that went on this weekend, or this week, happened yesterday, which we're probably going to save for another story time because I'm not going to have full time to tell you all this, but we'll start it. Is my daughter had her first swim meet, which is why this video is late today. I just couldn't get all the things done on Friday that I needed to get done. So we had a swim meet to attend. We went early because I am now part of the board. So they contacted me and asked me many, many times over the years to become part of the board. I have resisted because, hello, it's like another job, right? So finally, I agreed. Sorry for the camera shake right here. And we're just adding a belly band and wrapping it, just like I've done in many other videos, and gluing it. And then we're going to add some more decorations to the front of this card. Okay. So, yes, as you've seen or heard me talk about, my daughter is a competitive swimmer. And so so I'm now part of the board. My job is to run the computers. There was a man that ran them before me that came, I should say, run the computers at the swim meets. Okay. He was gracious enough to come to the swim meet this last night and kind of give me an overview. Well, let me tell you, people, that nothing worked. And he himself has only done this job like for 1 year, and it was during COVID where we didn't really have a lot of swim meets. So there was a whole lot of me helping him try to figure things out, and I've never touched this computer system a day in my life. So that was interesting. So he was doing his best. There's no fault to this man. It's just one of those things. So that's going to be a whole interesting endeavor to go through here over the next couple of months. But I feel like I got a handle on it pretty good, and I will give you a little bit more on all of that and the chaos that ensued in a future story time. But suffice to say, I'm the computer person now that runs the timing for the meet. So it's stressful because it's important, right? Like, kind of the whole point of the swim meet is the time that the swimmer gets. So you need to make sure all of these things are functioning, and there's all these different pieces that have to plug into each other. It's kind of a lot. I was very overwhelmed, but by the end of the night, I feel like I had a pretty good handle on what to do. So I'm really praying I'm going to be able to do it when time comes. May 21st is our next swim meet, so that ought to be interesting. So anyway, daughter swam well. Beginning is always a little rough. And so by the end of the season, she hopefully will have, look at how cute this card is. And then we're going to add a sentiment to the front too. So I decided on the front of the card to do another basket with another kitty, and that would be Henry. So I was kind of paying homage to Henry here with this card. We do miss him. We wish he would come home, but I fear the worst has happened. So we likely will not see him again. I am sorry for the camera shake here. I meant to edit all of that out, but it just didn't happen. Okay, so that's story time for this week. I don't have, nothing super crazy. I guess killing a rattlesnake's pretty awesome. Charming sentiments is what I used for the sentiments in this set instead of using the sentiments that were part of the cheerful basket, and that's just because they wouldn't fit well. The cheerful basket sentiments wouldn't fit well with this card, meaning size wise. So I used the charming sentiments, and those die cut out all the different sentiments. I absolutely love it. You got to get that bundle. It's a must have in your stash. Don't forget that if you place a $40 order with me before May 27th, you will get a free goodie bag of in color products. Make sure you check out my special offers on my blog too. They are amazing. Bye-bye.